Antioch stands as a testament to the enduring power of human civilization, a city whose ancient streets whisper secrets of empires risen and fallen. Its storied past weaves together threads of culture, faith, and conquest that continue to shape our world today. As we embark on this journey through Antioch's timeless landscape, the ghosts of history await, ready to unveil their mysteries to us. In the fertile valley of the Orontes River, where the snow-capped peaks of the Amanus Mountains meet the gentle slopes of the Syrian plain, the city of Antioch was born. It was the year 307 BCE, and the world was witnessing the dawn of a new era, as the successors of Alexander the Great clashed in a struggle for dominance that would shape the course of history. Seleucus I, Nicator, one of Alexander's most trusted generals, had set his sights on establishing a new capital, one that would rival the great cities of Babylon and Persepolis. And so, Antioch was founded, its name derived from the Greek word Antiocheia, meaning city of Antiochus, in honor of Seleucus's father. As the city began to take shape, its founders carefully chose a site that would provide natural protection and access to the surrounding trade routes. The Orontes River, which flowed gently through the valley, offered a reliable source of water and a means of transportation, connecting Antioch to the Mediterranean Sea and the wider world beyond. The city's early inhabitants, a mix of Greeks, Macedonians, and locals, worked tirelessly to construct a metropolis that would reflect the grandeur of their rulers. They built temples, theaters, and marketplaces, using local limestone and marble to create structures that would withstand the test of time. Seleucus himself played a crucial role in shaping Antioch's early development, recognizing the city's strategic importance as a crossroads between East and West. He encouraged the settlement of Greeks and other immigrants, offering them land and privileges in exchange for their loyalty and expertise. As a result, Antioch quickly became a melting pot of cultures, with people from all over the ancient world coming to live, work, and trade in this vibrant new city. One of the most significant factors contributing to Antioch's growth was its position along the famous Silk Road, a network of trade routes that stretched from China to the Mediterranean. Merchants and travelers passing through the city brought with them exotic goods, ideas, and technologies, which were eagerly absorbed by the local population. The city's markets became renowned for their colorful array of spices, textiles, and precious metals, attracting visitors from as far away as India and Egypt. As Antioch flourished under Seleucid rule, its inhabitants began to develop a distinct cultural identity, one that blended Greek, Oriental, and local traditions. The city's famous theater, built during the reign of Seleucus's son, Antiochus I, hosted performances of Greek tragedy and comedy, while the nearby Temple of Apollo served as a center of worship for the city's diverse population. Meanwhile, the streets of Antioch were filled with the sounds of haggling merchants, the smells of fresh bread and roasting meats, and the sight of people from all walks of life going about their daily business. The early history of Antioch was marked by a series of challenges and opportunities as the city navigated the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized the ancient world. The Seleucid dynasty, which ruled Antioch for over a century, faced numerous threats to its power, from the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt to the rising forces of Rome. Yet, despite these challenges, Antioch continued to thrive, its people adapting and innovating in response to the changing circumstances of their world. As the Seleucid dynasty continued to navigate the treacherous waters of ancient geopolitics, Antioch found itself increasingly drawn into the orbit of Rome, the rising power that would eventually come to dominate the Mediterranean world. In 64 BCE, the Roman general Pompey the Great annexed Syria, incorporating Antioch into the Roman Empire and marking the beginning of a new era in the city's history. The Romans brought with them their own distinct culture, administrative systems, and architectural styles, which would leave an indelible mark on Antioch's landscape. Under Roman rule, Antioch underwent significant transformations as the city's infrastructure was upgraded to meet the demands of its growing population and strategic importance. The Romans constructed new roads, bridges, and public buildings, including a magnificent temple dedicated to Jupiter, which became one of the city's most iconic landmarks. The theater, built during the Seleucid era, continued to host performances, but now it also featured Roman-style gladiatorial contests and other entertainments that catered to the tastes of the city's increasingly cosmopolitan population. One of the most significant consequences of Roman rule was the growth of Christianity in Antioch. According to tradition, the city was one of the earliest centers of Christian worship, with the apostles Peter and Paul preaching to the local community in the decades following Jesus' death. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, Antioch became a major hub for the new faith, earning the nickname the Cradle of Christianity. The city's strategic location and cultural diversity made it an ideal place for the dissemination of Christian ideas, which were carried by merchants, travelers, and missionaries along the trade routes that converged on Antioch. The Roman Emperor Nero's persecution of Christians in 64 CE had a profound impact on the community in Antioch, leading to the martyrdom of many local believers. However, this period of repression was followed by a time of relative tolerance under the Emperor Trajan, who ruled from 98 to 117 CE. During this era, Christianity continued to flourish in Antioch, with the city becoming a major center for Christian scholarship and theology. The church in Antioch was led by prominent figures such as Ignatius, who would later become one of the most revered martyrs of the early Christian era. As the 2nd century CE progressed, Antioch faced numerous challenges, including earthquakes, famines, and wars with neighboring states. However, the city's resilience and adaptability allowed it to bounce back from these setbacks, continuing to thrive as a major urban center in the Roman East. The Emperor Hadrian's visit to Antioch in 129 CE marked a significant milestone in the city's history, as he brought with him a retinue of architects, engineers, and artists who contributed to the city's architectural and cultural development. Under the Antonine dynasty, which ruled Rome from 138 to 1993 CE, Antioch experienced a period of relative peace and prosperity. The city's economy continued to grow, driven by its strategic location at the crossroads of trade routes between East and West. The famous Roman orator and philosopher Libanius was born in Antioch during this era, and his writings provide valuable insights into the city's culture, society, and politics. As the 2nd century CE drew to a close, Antioch stood as one of the most important cities in the Roman Empire, a testament to the enduring power of human creativity, resilience, and cultural exchange. The city's prosperity continued under the Severan dynasty, which ruled Rome from 1933 to 235 CE. During this period, the Emperor Septimius Severus, who had risen to power through his military prowess, invested heavily in Antioch's infrastructure, commissioning new public buildings, roads, and bridges. One of the most notable projects was the construction of a magnificent circus, which became a popular venue for chariot racing and other public entertainments. The Severan era also saw significant developments in Antioch's Christian community. The city's bishop, Serapion, played a key role in promoting the faith, and his writings provide valuable insights into the theological debates of the time. One of the most notable figures to emerge during this period was the theologian and philosopher Origen of Alexandria, who spent several years in Antioch, engaging with the city's Christian intellectuals and contributing to the development of Christian theology. As the 3rd century CE progressed, Antioch faced new challenges, including a series of devastating earthquakes that struck the region. The most severe of these occurred in 256 CE, when a massive earthquake destroyed much of the city, including many of its iconic landmarks. The Emperor Gallienus, who ruled Rome from 253 to 268 CE, responded to the disaster by launching a major rebuilding program, which saw the construction of new public buildings, including a magnificent temple dedicated to the goddess Tyche. Despite these challenges, Antioch continued to thrive as a center of culture and learning. The city's famous school of rhetoric, which had been founded during the Roman era, remained one of the most prestigious institutions of its kind in the empire. The school's most notable pupil during this period was the future emperor, Julian, who would go on to play a significant role in shaping the fate of Antioch and the Roman Empire as a whole. As the 3rd century CE drew to a close, Antioch found itself at the center of a maelstrom of geopolitical upheaval. The Roman Empire was facing challenges on multiple fronts, including the rise of the Sassanian Empire in Persia, which would eventually become a major rival power. In 260 CE, the Sassanians launched a devastating invasion of the Roman East, capturing the city of Antioch and holding it for several years. The city's inhabitants suffered greatly during this period, and many of its iconic landmarks were damaged or destroyed. The Sassanian invasion of 260 CE marked a significant turning point in Antioch's history as the city struggled to recover from the devastation wrought by the Persians. The Roman Emperor, Gallienus, eventually managed to drive the Sassanians out of the city, but not before they had inflicted considerable damage on its infrastructure and population. As the city began to rebuild, it faced new challenges, including a series of civil wars that ravaged the Roman Empire in the late 3rd century CE. One of the key figures to emerge during this period was the Emperor Aurelian, who ruled Rome from 270 to 275 CE. Aurelian launched a major campaign against the Sassanians, seeking to reclaim territories lost during the previous invasion. In 272 CE, he marched on Antioch, which had been occupied by the Sassanian-backed regime of Queen Zenobia of Palmyra. After a brief siege, Aurelian's forces captured the city, and Zenobia was taken prisoner. The reign of Aurelian marked a period of relative stability for Antioch as the emperor invested in rebuilding the city's defenses and infrastructure. The city's famous walls, which had been damaged during the Sassanian invasion, were rebuilt and strengthened, while new public buildings and roads were constructed to facilitate trade and commerce. The emperor also took steps to promote the city's cultural and intellectual life, encouraging the growth of schools and libraries. As the 4th century CE dawned, Antioch found itself at the center of a major theological controversy as the Christian church struggled to define its doctrine and practices. The city was home to a number of prominent Christian theologians, including Eustathius of Antioch, who played a key role in the development of the Nicene Creed. In 325 CE, the Emperor Constantine, who had recently converted to Christianity, convened the Council of Nicaea, which brought together bishops from across the empire to settle the controversy over Arianism. The Council of Nicaea had significant implications for Antioch, as it marked a major turning point in the development of Christian theology. The city's bishop, Eustathius, was a key figure at the council, and his writings provide valuable insights into the theological debates of the time. As the 4th century CE progressed, Antioch continued to play a major role in the development of Christianity, with the city's theologians and bishops shaping the course of Christian doctrine and practice. In 341 CE, the Emperor Constantius II, who had succeeded his father Constantine, convened a second council at Antioch, which was attended by bishops from across the eastern Mediterranean. The council marked a significant moment in the development of Christian theology, as it saw the emergence of a new theological faction known as the Eusebians, who would go on to play a major role in shaping the course of Christian doctrine. As the 4th century CE drew to a close, Antioch found itself facing new challenges, including a series of earthquakes and natural disasters that struck the region. In 358 CE, a devastating earthquake hit the city, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. The Emperor Constantius II responded to the disaster by launching a major rebuilding program which saw the construction of new public buildings and infrastructure. Despite these challenges, Antioch continued to thrive as a center of culture and learning, with the city's famous School of Rhetoric remaining one of the most prestigious institutions of its kind in the empire. The city was also home to a number of prominent Christian theologians, including John Chrysostom, who would go on to become one of the most influential figures in the development of Christian doctrine and practice. In 388 CE, John Chrysostom was appointed Bishop of Constantinople, but he continued to maintain strong ties with Antioch, where he had studied and taught. During his time as bishop, Chrysostom played a key role in shaping the course of Christian theology, and his writings provide valuable insights into the social and cultural context of late antique Antioch. As the 5th century CE dawned, Antioch found itself facing new challenges, including a series of wars with the Sassanian Empire, which would go on to shape the course of the city's history for centuries to come. The Emperor Theodosius II, who ruled Rome from 408 to 450 CE, responded to the Sassanian invasion by launching a major campaign to reclaim the lost territories. In 422 CE, he marched on Antioch, which was still occupied by the Sassanians, and after a brief siege, his forces captured the city. Theodosius. The second then launched a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the city's defenses and promoting its economic and cultural development. The city was also home to a number of prominent scholars and intellectuals, including the philosopher and mathematician Proclus, who taught at the city's famous school of rhetoric. The Emperor Justin I, who ruled Rome from 518 to 527 CE, responded to the disaster by launching a major rebuilding program, which saw the construction of new public buildings and infrastructure. As the 6th century CE progressed, Antioch continued to face numerous challenges, including frequent earthquakes and wars with the Sassanian Empire. In 529 CE, the Emperor Justinian I, who had ascended to the throne in 527 CE, launched a major campaign to reform the city's defenses and promote its economic development. Justinian's efforts included the construction of new walls, fortifications, and public buildings, as well as the restoration of the city's famous school of rhetoric. One of the most notable scholars to teach at the school during this period was the philosopher and mathematician Simplicius of Cilicia. Simplicius was a prominent figure in the Neoplatonist school of thought, and his commentaries on the works of Aristotle and other ancient philosophers would go on to influence Western intellectual tradition for centuries. In 540 CE, the Sassanian Empire, under the rule of King Khosrow I, launched a major invasion of the Eastern Roman Empire, capturing the city of Antioch and holding it for several years. The Emperor Justinian I responded to the invasion by launching a counter-campaign which ultimately resulted in the recapture of Antioch in 544 CE. Despite the city's resilience, the frequent wars and natural disasters took their toll on Antioch's population and infrastructure. By the mid-6th century CE, the city's once thriving economy was in decline, and its famous school of rhetoric had begun to lose its luster. In 552 CE, the Emperor Justinian I launched a major effort to revive the city's fortunes, including the construction of new public buildings and the restoration of the city's ancient infrastructure. However, Antioch's fortunes were soon to take another turn for the worse. The earthquake was followed by a series of fires, which burned down many of the city's remaining buildings. The Emperor Justinian I responded to the disaster by launching a major relief effort, but the city never fully recovered from the devastation. In the decades that followed, Antioch continued to decline, its population dwindling and its economy stagnating. In 602 CE, the Sassanian Empire launched another invasion of the Eastern Roman Empire, capturing the city of Antioch and holding it for several years. By the early 7th century CE, Antioch was a shadow of its former self, a mere fraction of the thriving metropolis it had once been. In 637 CE, the city was conquered by the Arab armies of Caliph Umar, marking the beginning of a new era in Antioch's history. The city would go on to become an important center of Islamic learning and culture, but its days as a major center of Christianity and classical learning were behind it. As the centuries passed, Antioch continued to evolve, its population and culture shifting in response to the changing tides of history. In 969 CE, the city was recaptured by the Byzantine Empire, which had been reconstituted under the rule of Emperor Nikephoros II Phocas. However, the city's fortunes were short-lived, as it was soon conquered by the Seljuk Turks in 1084 CE. The Crusades brought another wave of devastation to Antioch, as the city was besieged and captured by the forces of Bohemond I in 1098 CE. The city would go on to become a major center of Christian power in the region, but its days as a major urban center were behind it. By the 13th century CE, Antioch was a mere fraction of its former self, a small and insignificant town in the midst of a vast and shifting landscape. In 1268 CE, the city was conquered by the Mamluk Sultanate, which had risen to power in Egypt. The Mamluks would go on to rule Antioch for centuries, but the city's fortunes continued to decline. By the 16th century CE, Antioch was a small and insignificant town, its population dwindling and its economy stagnating. In 1517 CE, the city was conquered by the Ottoman Empire, which had risen to power in the 13th century CE. The Ottomans would go on to rule Antioch for nearly 400 years, but the city's fortunes never fully recovered from the devastation of the previous centuries. Today, Antioch is a small town in southern Turkey, its ancient ruins a testament to the city's former glory. This city, once a beacon of culture, learning, and faith, has left an indelible mark on the course of human history. From its rise as a major center of Christianity to its eventual decline and transformation under various empires, Antioch's story serves as a poignant reminder of the transience of power and the enduring power of ideas. As the centuries have unfolded, Antioch's influence can be seen in the intricate tapestry of Western civilization, a testament to the city's role as a crossroads of cultures and a catalyst for change. Thank you for joining me throughout this historical journey. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.